Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote non-stop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact-checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. We're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
Social media giant Meta is ditching its fact-checkers, opting to replace them with user-generated community notes. It's a major shift in the platform's content moderation policies, in line with a call by Republicans who have long criticised so-called censorship of right-wing voices. Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg has warned the changes could see more harmful content appearing on the platform.
The problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
US President-elect Donald Trump has welcomed the decision.
I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook, I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive.
For more on this, I'm joined live by the digital CEO and former Facebook executive, Stephen Shearer. Stephen, thanks for your time. What's your reaction to this change by Facebook and Meta, first of all?
It's not surprising. We're seeing the swinging back of moderation from a few years ago. Fact checkers were the way to go. The Democrats were in power. There was a lot of concern about misinformation on these platforms. And now, there's a new sheriff in town. Trump's back, and I think Zuckerberg's trying to get in step with where Musk and Trump are around moderation being more loose, more run by the users themselves and not run by a third party. And the truth is, I think this is where Zuckerberg wants to be. He never wanted to have lots of fact checkers on his platform. He actually never wanted to have that responsibility. And I think Mark's going back to where he always wanted to be. And luckily, the political climate is now is blowing the direction he wants to go.
You say that he wants to go ahead with it, but Mark Zuckerberg says the changes will lead to more harmful content on the platform.
Yeah, studies show that user-moderated content, which is the way platforms like X or formerly Twitter work, have more bad stuff on them, for want of a better word, than platforms that are moderated by more third parties, which is the way Facebook has been run for the past few years. So there's more misinformation, more harmful content gets onto the platform. Now, what Mark is saying is, well, even with that system, there was a lot of stuff that was getting through. We were making a lot of mistakes anyway. These systems are so complex. So he's saying, let's back off. Let's go back more to a freedom of speech. Let's have users moderate it themselves. And there's going to be bad stuff. There's going to be inappropriate. I shouldn't say inappropriate. There's going to be misinformation that gets onto the platform. But that's just the price you have to pay to run the scale of these platforms these are today. That's a conundrum that's really hard to solve. And this is just a solution that seems to be the one that the political winds are blowing towards today.
Were the fact checkers bias against right-wing views, as has been claimed by Republicans?
Yeah, so look, there's research that shows that there has been bias in those fact checkers. There's research that shows that the bias was very minimal on the other hand. So there's some disagreement about the question you ask, what the right answer is. I think you can probably, reasonable people can understand how, if there's human beings that are actually have rules they're following to try to remove different pieces of content, generally they'll probably get to a place where most people would agree that that content is false or, misleading. But there's big gray areas here. The gray areas can be pretty significant. And so, one person's false or misleading information is another person's fact. And so that's where Facebook was falling down, and that's where these fact checkers were, are they too liberal? Are they too biased? They're humans, and humans have their own biases, and even these AI systems have biases as well. So what they're trying to do now is remove that. Let's step back. Let's go with the political winds. And of course, what Facebook's trying to do is avoid being regulated, avoid antitrust breakup. There's a big court case coming up, and they want to get in the good books with the Trump administration to get ahead of this game. So that's what you're seeing here. This is really a political move as much as it is a content moderation move.
Steve and Sheila, appreciate the context this morning. Thank you.